Now, last year, unfortunately, I was involved in a crash, which is not the best experience in the world, and my poor car had about £5,000 worth of damage. Thankfully, it was all insured and it was all sorted, but the one thing I didn't have was a dash cam installed. Now, I've currently got one at the moment and it's a bit old, but I'm in the market for a new one. In fact, I've been searching for all these different types of dash cams online and I found ones as cheap as like £30, but then it can go all the way up to like £349 and even £400. That's quite a difference. My old one was actually under £200, so I kind of want to keep under that. But most importantly as well, I also want to make sure that this kind of next dash cam that I buy doesn't have a subscription. Some of these have these kind of subscriptions where like you can upload stuff to the cloud. I don't want that. I purely just want literally a set it and forget it. It comes on automatically, and if I need it, it's there. I also want to test some of the cheaper ones as well, you know, this kind of £30 region, and just see if the quality is hindered in any way, or if it makes sense to kind of spend a bit more and get a better image quality. After that as well, speaking of image quality, you want to check the day and night readings and see what that's like as well, see if the image quality is really bad at night time, and how easy it is to save an event should something happen. Some of them have like G sensors in and things like that. Also, want to check the field of view. So the field of view is how far kind of zoomed out it is and how cropped it is, oversimplifying it, but basically it needs to be kind of what my eyes would see or better. So the further it can see, the better it would be. Of course, I need it to automatically start. I don't want any of this manual starting stuff. Otherwise, I may as well just put like a GoPro in the windscreen. And of course, going to keep an eye out for any kind of standout features that some of these dash cams may have over their competition. And ordered. Okay, so these should arrive tomorrow. So no, this video is not sponsored. I'm literally buying all 5 of these dash cams and testing them out independently. So I'm gonna let you know which one I'm gonna use in my daily car going forward. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait for them to arrive now. And sure enough, here they are in order of price. Oh, and I should add guys, I purchased these in June 2024, so prices are correct at the time of purchase and of course recording. So these could change as time goes on. And if you are interested, there will be links in the description below that will take you straight to where I bought them from. So first is the ORSKEY Dash Cam, priced at £32.57 at the time of purchase. In the box you will have the camera itself and a ton of accessories. From a rear camera, suction sticky mounts, power cable including a USB cable and the manual. The ORSKEY even comes with a cable tucker to hide the cables and its own micro SD card, so you literally have everything you need in the box. Can't fault them on that. Next up we have the Nextbase 122 HD for around £67. This one includes stickers, a handy phone number for any problems and of course a quick start guide. Then we have the mount, power cable, spare mount, a USB cable and a cable tucker, but no micro SD card included with this one. I'll leave a link to some micro SD cards in the description below too. And finally, the dashcam itself. After this we have the Nextbase 522GW. Now I chose to include this one as well, as again it's under £200 but priced at around £157.45 when I bought it. I wanted to compare the two Nextbases and see if there's any noticeable difference. One main difference is that this one is one of the dashcams shown here today with a higher resolution of 1440p. It's kind of halfway in between 1080p HD and 4K 2160p. This one literally has the same accessories as the Nextbase 122 and some screen glass cleaners included, and then of course the camera itself. Slightly heavier in weight, so feels nicer on the hand and not as plasticky. Again, just like the previous Nextbase, no micro SD card included on this one, so link below if you need one. Now, moving away from Nextbase, we have the Garmin Dash Cam 67. Just like the previous one, this is a dash cam with 1440p, so again halfway in between 1080p and 2160p, 4K. This one just a few pounds more than the previous one at £159.99, again at the time of purchase. Upon opening, whoa, it's tiny, like really small. I was definitely expecting this to be a bit bigger. And the mount too, a very compact size. In the box there's a manual, 2 sized USB cables, so one for the car and one for the computer, just in case you need to transfer footage. It also comes with a dual 12-volt USB charger, handy if you need to charge another device at the same time, and another replacement adhesive and magnetic mount. And the final one today is the BlackVue DR590X-1CH. That's a long name. The 1CH stands for one channel, as I believe there are other ones where you can actually hook up multiple cameras to cover various angles. Now weirdly, this one is the most expensive on this list today, coming in at £166.75 when I purchased it, and yet it's not even 4K or even 1440p, it's just 1080p. However, they do apparently use a Sony sensor, which may lead to a better image. But before we open it, SD card warning. The use of incompatible third-party micro SD cards will adversely affect your BlackVue Dash Cam and can invalidate your warranty. Well, that's quite extreme. This is the first device I've ever seen that states this, as micro SD cards are normally interchangeable, albeit some have different read and write speeds, but okay. Handily, they do include their own micro SD card in the box, as the prices on their website for larger micro SD cards are sky high and just downright crazy. This dashcam is certainly the thinnest, but in the box the usual things: power cable, the very expensive micro SD card, and what looks to be a hard wire kit. And then here are the micro SD cards that I recommended in case you need one. They're available in all sorts of sizes from 64GB up to 1TB. Just bear in mind some dashcams like the Nextbase 122 only allow up to 64GB, so read the specifications and check them out on the specific dashcam you're looking at. So here we are guys, a few days later, where I've been rigorously testing these 5 dashcams. As you can see, this setup that I've got in here right now is borderline ridiculous with all these wires. For those of you wondering, yes, I can still see. I don't normally have this camera here. This is just while stationary. I've had all the other dashcams I've been testing in the corners of the windscreen so I can still see. I just wouldn't recommend these wires dangling down. I'd probably advise installing it a bit more professionally than I have. As I said, this is just temporary. I've been testing them out and I've got loads to share with you all, but let's start with video quality. So firstly, the cheapest one, the ORSKEY. Oh, and please ignore the date and time. I have changed it, and then I actually failed at changing it to the year. We are definitely in 2024. So video quality was okay. I wouldn't say it's the best, but for the price, it's pretty good. I've also tried several distances on these cameras to see at what distance number plates could be read. I gave the cameras the best chance: a clean windscreen for a start. I parked in the shade and shot into a load of sunlight. I tried 40 meters, 20 meters, and finally 10 meters. Due to the resolutions in all of these dashcams, it's somewhere in between 10 meters and 20 meters, so I'll stick with the 10 meters for this comparison. Next up, the Nextbase 122 HD. Almost the same, but the image is a lot softer, so reading number plates at a distance is kind of almost impossible. It has to be literally within 10 meters. The Nextbase 522 GW, you can tell straight away the image is a lot clearer and sharper, probably due to its high resolution. For the Garmin, it does have a trick up its sleeve, which can also be a slight negative. It does have the widest field of view, so field of view determines how much you can see in one shot. The downside to this is that everything is kind of super zoomed out, so to speak of, but at least you can read the number plates. The upside is that it captures everything kind of outside of your vision, left to right, as you'd see as a driver. For the BlackVue and their so-called Sony Starvis sensor, for the price, I expected this to be way better. I mean, here's the comparison from the BlackVue to the ORSKEY. I thought that it would be miles better, but it's kind of really not. And also, what are they like at night? Now, I'm not expecting any of these dashcams to wow me at night because they probably have extremely small sensors and cameras typically do struggle with low light anyway. But in case you're wondering, here's the ORSKEY. Here's the Nextbase 122. Then the Nextbase 522 GW. Then the Garmin. And finally, the BlackVue. Now, when it comes to design and features of all these dashcams, we'll start with the ORSKEY first. Now, this is not a touchscreen as I thought it initially was. It's actually completely surrounded by buttons on the left and the right as well. And due to the amount of buttons, it can be a little bit confusing to use, but there again, it is the cheapest one here, so there has to be some kind of compromise somewhere. However, there is a menu button on the left-hand side with up and down buttons, and then the OK button on the top, and of course on and off buttons, and a lock, like a save button, for any dashcam clips you need to save on the road. So pretty cool that there is a save button, but it's right next to the off button, so you might just accidentally turn off the clip you were trying to save. so not ideal. Now, when it comes to the neck spaces, literally here and here, they are virtually almost identical. Obviously, one has a kind of slightly better build quality, and then this one here being one of the kind of cheaper ones. One huge difference between them, though, is that the 122 does actually have buttons on it, as opposed to being a touchscreen, whereas this one up here, the 522GW, is completely touchscreen. One really good thing compared to the ORSKEY, though, is they do have a save button right in the middle of the dash cams. Nice bright big red button in red as well. So if you need to save a clip, you can literally just press it and it's saved straight away. Same as that one, just like that. Now, when it comes to the Garmin is of course the smallest one here. And annoyingly, I keep on wanting to press the screen, but this one isn't touch buttons, it's literally just buttons on the side. But handily, the save button is right at the bottom, not kind of in with the others like the ORSKEY one is. But yes, you've got a menu button, up and down buttons, and an enter button, and of course that save button is there prominent on the bottom, just in case you need to save any clips, as again, just like the other two. Now the Garmin, even though it has this really good kind of design factor, it's like really small compared to the others, it actually has probably one of the most annoying features I think I've ever found on a dash cam. Basically, it literally has all these cool features like lane guidance and a notification to tell you when the car in front has moved for some reason, and red light and speed cameras and that sort of thing. All sounds really good, but that's what a sat-nav is for. I appreciate all these features going into it. The reason why it's annoying is literally default settings are that literally when I put these dash cams in, that was the noisiest one out of all of them, with it beeping and doing all sorts of... In fact, here's a clip of it happening. Reminding me about traffic lights in 150 meters when I can clearly see the traffic lights are there. Don't need to have a dash cam remind me of a traffic light or a speed camera. Don't need a dash cam to do that. And all I've done is literally just plug it in and turn it on, and those are the default settings. I think those should be off by default and you turn them on if you want them. So personally I would change that. Luckily you can turn them off. I have silenced that dash cam now and turned off all the alerts, so that's not happening now. But yeah, one thing to factor in if you do get that one, it is noisy by default. You probably want to silence it and turn it off. And then finally we have the BlackVue up here. Now I have mixed feelings about this dash cam, so let's talk about design first. So design, I actually quite like the design. There's a slight negative, it obviously doesn't have a screen, but it makes up for that with the kind of like compact, kind of sleek design. So if you don't like the idea of having a dash cam just plopped on your dashboard or on your windscreen and having a screen there and it takes up all this kind of real estate, it's actually very sleek and very subtle. So some people might not even know the dash cam's there. So pretty good on that front. The thing that I don't like with it is because there is no screen, you don't really know what it's doing. And it has this voice assistant that talks to you all the time, which can get a little bit annoying. I'm sure there's a setting to turn it off. Let me demonstrate. So every time that you get in the car to turn it on, now you're going to hear all these dash cams start up, but I found the BlackVue one the most annoying with its kind of greeting tone.
BlackVue for your safe driving.
BlackVue for your see what I mean? Interrupted me. BlackVue for your self-driving and then starting normal recording. I'd rather it just have the light, because there's like a little light up here. But yeah, I'm sure you can turn it off to make it even more subtle, but I guess the other downside to it as well, and this is partly my fault, but I'm just sharing my experience. When I had set this dash cam up, I didn't realise that the field of view, how far it could see either side, was that close, so I actually had to take it off and reposition it. Now if I had a screen, then I wouldn't have had that issue. I wouldn't have had to dismantle it and put it all back together and move it across. Admittedly, I probably should have loaded up the live view because some of these ones do have apps. But there again, it's partly my fault. I probably should have loaded up the live view and checked the adjustment before I placed it in position. But yeah, mixed feelings on that one just because there is no screen. But there again, if you want something quite subtle and, you know, without a screen, just to kind of minimize the kind of footprint on the dashboard, on the windscreen, then yeah, it could work. Now, in terms of app coverage, the Nextbase 522GW does have an app that you can connect to, so That's of course how you can download footage. I will add that the app is painfully slow. It is genuinely quicker for me to take out the micro SD card and plug it into like a laptop or something like that and transfer the data that way. I said that's for all of the dash cams. The Garmin one also has an app, and the BlackVue one of course definitely has an app because there is no screen. The ORSKEY doesn't have an app from what I've seen, and the Nextbase 122 HD, the kind of entry-level Nextbase, that doesn't have an app on this particular one either. So if you need to do any software updates or firmware updates, you do have to download them manually and put them onto the micro SD card, whereas the others you can do on an app. So firstly, installing like this is a no-go. This is driving me mad, and not only is it not that safe, having all these wires dangling down and all turning on and off and everything, it's temporary, it's just been like this for a couple of days as I mentioned. So how do you install a dash cam? So the easiest method by far is literally just running them into the 12-volt accessory socket. Now, depending on the car, it's going to be here or somewhere in the middle. There's even some cars I've noticed handily in the passenger footwell, which is quite handy. So that's the easiest thing and the kind of least obtrusive way to the car's electronics and that sort of thing. So personally, that's the way I'd recommend to do it. You're probably obviously thinking, what do you do with the cable? Because, well, this is ridiculous. So yeah, you're going to want to obviously tuck that cable into the panels where you can. Now this is where it can start to get a little bit into the grey area, because in modern cars, certainly like this one, there are airbags up here on the sides, so you don't want that wire to get in the way of an airbag. So if you feel comfortable and you know what you're doing, and you've, I don't know, potentially spoken to someone and got some kind of professional guidance on how to do it, or they help you do it, you can tuck the cable in along the kind of cables next to the airbag, but definitely not in front of it. The last thing you want basically is an airbag to go off, and because they come out with such force, for it to hit the wire, drag out the dash cam, and the dash cam hit you in the face while you're having a crash. So that's not what you want. So yeah, having the wires kind of tucked in down the side, out of the way, in between potentially the weather sealing of the car, depends how thick the cable is as well. This of course varies so much, depends on the car and the wire. So if you're not sure, just seek some professional advice. Sadly, I don't fit dash cams myself, so I don't know how many panels come out on cars, although there are plenty of tutorial guides online on how to do it. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, hang on, can we not just hardwire it to the fuse board or daisy chain of some of the electronics in the inside? Yeah, you can. This is where it starts to get a little bit, or even more so in the grey area. This can affect the manufacturer's warranty on the car. And this is where it gets even more of a grey area. So this is where I'd suggest speaking to the car manufacturer in question and just checking with them. Technically speaking, a dash cam does not draw that much power, and you just putting it onto a spare fuse or daisy chaining on a fuse shouldn't be an issue. But in case whoever's installing it, whether you do it or if I was doing it, I'm not going to do it in this car at all just because it has lots of electronics in it. But if someone was doing it who was a professional, but then they accidentally did something, this could affect a warranty, because you're effectively installing equipment that wasn't in the car when it was made. So this can affect the warranty, it can affect the manufacturer's guarantee, that sort of thing. So the best thing I can suggest really is, if you are not sure, just seek some professional advice, speak to the car manufacturer, that sort of thing, and see if they offer it for a start or where they recommend to install it. Just because I can't, again, as I said, speak on behalf of all the car manufacturers I cover. I just cover the cars, and in this video I'm reviewing the dash cams. So yeah, I know there are people out there who have done it. Of course, if it tripped a fuse or something like that, or if something happened or the onboard current was changed for something in the car and an error message came up or something like that, there's all sorts of things that could happen. It will be very unlikely, but if it did happen, it could affect that particular area for a warranty, or in some extreme cases, the car manufacturer might just be like, no, that's not the warranty, you're not having a warranty at all. That's quite extreme. I don't think they'd go to that length, but check with them. Sadly, as I said, I can't speak on behalf of them, but just check with them if you're not sure. But yeah, for me, I'm just going to wire it into a USB-C or 12-volt socket in my car. So, after all of this, which dash cam am I going to use and stick with? I think it's going to be one of the Nextbases, and I'm probably going to stick with this one here, the 522GW, just because it does have that kind of more advanced parking mode. It feels a bit more better in the hands, the build quality is better, And I'd probably say, I think the image quality in that one's probably the best one out of the ones here today. The others are all slightly soft and this one's a little bit crawly, but yeah, I'd probably say the 522GW is probably the best one here in terms of image quality. And yes, it is probably I guess it is the largest one here, but I'm going to tuck it right up there out of the way. So I'm going to stick with the Nextbase 522GW because that's the one I quite like the look of. And yeah, I just think it offers the best value for money. So guys, that concludes this week's video on the Dashcam comparison. So let me know your thoughts. Do you have a Dashcam currently? Is it a brand that I've not featured in this video? Or are you going to buy a Dashcam? Let me know in the comment section down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.